G'day friends, welcome to day 7 of Inktober 2018. It's been a full week and I am dead curious to know how you're all going. Have you made it through the week? Have you given up already? Are you just starting? I'm really curious to check in with everyone and see how your challenges are going. I've been following obviously a lot of people on Facebook and mostly Instagram to see how everyone's going, and I think there's a general consensus of we're all still excited but we're running into some issues, whether it be time management or just like in general using the art supplies that we chose to use for the challenge. I just want to put it out there, please keep going, please stay involved. You honestly won't regret it, and you can never underestimate you can't underestimate how great it will feel to have finished the challenge. And beyond actually just, practice making better, I don't really like to say practice makes perfect because no one's perfect, but practice makes better. So you will get better as you go along, and you maybe need to encounter that problem 2 or 3 more times, or maybe 16 more times, or maybe you've already jumped over that hurdle, and you should definitely congratulate yourself for that as you go forward. But there's just something about everyone kind of being on the same kind of challenge all at the same time that creates this like big feeling of camaraderie, this big ball of excitement and energy that you just get to feed off of. So I literally just keep putting it out there because I don't want you to miss out on that. It comes but once a year, this October season where we do 55 billion prompts lists. Having said that, it is seriously non-essential and you could just go about your business the way that you've been doing it. But if you are still on the challenges and you're kind of getting to that point where you think you're going to give up, please don't. I will be seriously personally offended. No, I do get very invested though. I don't know if I've mentioned this publicly before, but I get very invested when I follow people doing the challenges. I don't hold anyone accountable for anything, like absolutely not. But I do kind of get a little upset when I see people dropping off, and it makes me feel very alone in it, even though there's millions of people that do it. But still, I just want to put that word of encouragement out there, just in case you were considering it, just in case you were spending your weekend looking for reasonings and excuses and justifications to stop. I only will accept really, really serious ones. Not that I'll accept anything at all. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me. I want to make sure you know how worth it is to finish. You'll get better, like obviously you'll get better at what you're doing, but there's this sense of achievement that you get, and I spoke about this on the Instagram Live. I went Instagram Live yesterday, and I kind of mentioned what I had said before in a blog post that I wrote on Playtest Patreon, and it's that the beyond getting better and beyond like harnessing your skills and kind of working at it, and it should be fun, the process should still be fun, so if this is really not doing it for you and putting you in a bad place, you maybe shouldn't do it, but if you can commit to it, what you get at the end of it is this sense of accomplishment and achievement, and you never underestimate how important that is when you're moving forward. I believe it's so much easier and healthier to pull from this feeling of pride and feeling of achievement and accomplishment to motivate yourself to do more and do better and to go forward than it is to pull from this sense of disappointment. And believe me, I've tried to tackle Inktober a couple of times before I actually ever finished one, and the feeling is infinitely different. I always used to think, oh no, I could have done it if I just really committed to it, but then I would just sit there and think, well, why don't I commit to it? Obviously it wasn't worth enough to me. Am I a real artist then, because I won't even commit to working on my craft? And do you know what I mean? Like all of those little things that will feed off of in your subconscious, it will feed off of that disappointment, I think become a really big block in you growing and you get moving forward. And it doesn't have to be a challenge, but these challenges are a really good way to streamline that process of learning and also being like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of a guarantee. If you finish, you feel good. So it should be one of those things that I think you just want to finish for the pure fact that it would make you feel a lot better to finish. I don't know. I also have like stage 20 FOMO, so just my own issues. Anyway, let's get back into the prompt for today is I met a fun shower flower during my morning exploring hour. And I'm actually going to use the idea of masking that I did in the video from yesterday. And I'm going to mask off that area underneath the flower and have it all showering down in this gradient wash of light to dark ink, and kind of put in some little white highlights in there. I want to do a bit of texture on it, kind of flick some ink on there and just let it spread and pool and do lovely ink things. And I just wanted to keep it very, very simple as far as how I added the liquid ink, because this one I really wanted to illustrate. I'm having a bit of an issue because for this I would typically want to illustrate with a pencil and then go over it in ink, but I haven't allowed myself to use a pencil for Inktober. I didn't do that last year and I'm not going to do it this year, which is just kind of annoying to me. I don't know why I did that. I know I could always change the rules, but it is truly a challenge for me to go straight into inking something. So I'm trying to tackle that challenge. I did that last year and I was very happy with myself for doing that. And so far I haven't scrapped any pieces. All 7 that I've put forward are the first attempts at each and every one of them. And I'm really hoping that I don't get the urge to scrap any. So I think the inking in pen, like going straight in with the ink, is just... that's what I get really nervous about, because I think, oh, it only takes one stray line to go crazy and suddenly, she's got... half of a face gone wrong, and I don't know, it just that still makes me a little bit nervous, because you feel like you're committing as soon as you go in. And sometimes the ideas aren't fully formed because I don't map them out, I don't sketch out her character design before I start. I just kind of go in intuitively. So it's really interesting also for me to do that, because I get to see just where the inspiration might be pulling from, or what happens to be in my subconscious, or what motifs I tend to repeat even in changing art styles. I think it's really interesting to see what tries to stick around, and what what I'm really happy to let go of, and what I really want to keep playing with over and over and over again. So that's just my truth, my story, my vision. I'm going to leave you with that. I've also got a bunch of questions from, these are from Instagram. So anyone that responded to the Insta story, these are some of the questions I got in there. And I'm just going to speedball through a few of these. Who's your spirit Disney character? So I think like your spirit animal. Now, I am super happy that Disney acquired the Muppets, because my spirit animal has and always will be, has been and always will be Miss Piggy. And since they own the Muppets now, I mean, it's Miss Piggy. How could it not be? She's a pig and she's a diva, and I #can relate. So definitely Miss Piggy. Where do you get your inspiration from? This is interesting. I actually get a lot of it from Instagram. I know that there are a lot of people out there that tend to stray away from getting inspiration from other artists, or other, or like just on Instagram, or I'm just going to say other artists in general. I have heard this quite a lot. Now, I don't struggle with pulling reference from other artists, or taking inspiration from other artists, or crediting other artists when I'm just straight up learning from them. I don't really think it's a bad thing. In fact, when people do that for me, I feel like it's a very it makes me feel really good that they feel like it's helpful enough for them to use and to take on board and to grow from. So I never have an issue with any of that. I know that it maybe seems like a little taboo to be pulling your inspiration from Instagram, or someone's art blog or something, but to be honest, I think that's why it's all out there. A lot of these tutorials are out there not just to look at and pretend like you didn't look at, they're to look at and learn from. So definitely Instagram, definitely YouTube, definitely the Facebook group, and kind of anywhere that I can encounter something that just takes my fancy. It doesn't even necessarily have to be from art. In fact, a lot of the inspiration I pull from will be actually coffee table books, the Disney concept art coffee table books. If you're in Playtest Patreon, you would have seen that whole video where I showed how I pulled the inspiration from the coffee table books and created pieces on that. So that's something that I'll do if I don't want to be in front of a computer screen. But as far as pulling inspiration, it could be from a makeup tutorial I watched, or a fashion show that I've just watched, or it could just be because I'm out and about and suddenly I get an urge because I see something that I just think would be really fun to draw or create. A lot of the times personal experience as well, personal memories and stories will be something that I really feel like I want to dive into, and perhaps not create, an exact screenshot, Kodak snapshot of what that memory was, but to feed off of the emotions and to feed off of the nostalgia and the memory of that might just be what is the inspiration for what I'm doing. And I'm going to I'm gonna really let this out here, and I never intended to tell anyone this. The dress that Daisy wears, the reason she's got this petal motif is because and this is such a long-winded kind of a way to say that this is where the inspiration was from, but it's the absolute truth, so I don't know how I'm supposed to not just say that. And it's not bad or anything, but it's funny because it's super personal in like the weirdest way. But she has this petal motif because I actually wanted her to be wearing a big petal dress. Now, when I was working back in Tokyo Disneyland, I was in a show called One Man's Dream 2, The Magic Lives On, and I recently found out that next year will be the last year for that show. So here I am over here trying to like plan my pilgrimage back to Japan just so I can see it before it closes. But I was super sad that it was closing, and I thought I want to kind of commemorate this show because it meant so much to me. I did 2 contracts out there, and it's just Japan is one of my favorite places in the entire world, if not my absolute favorite place. And that show just meant so much. So in the opening scene of that show, we, the dancers, and I was one of the dancers, we would be dressed in rainbow costumes, and we'd be called the Rainbow Dancers, basically. You can search this on YouTube too. Just type in One Man's Dream 2, The Magic Lives On, or Tokyo Disneyland, the One Man's Dream. You will see the opening number is just this explosion of color, and all the girls have these beautiful, big petal skirts on. And as I was thinking of how I wanted to commemorate my feelings about the show, and it was always so exciting, the opening number is just so colorful and so vibrant. So many of our favorite characters are up on stage, and we're just having a blast, and I just wanted to commemorate that. But, the boys' costume is beautiful, but it's kind of, standard boy clothes, pants and a shirt, but the girls just had the most beautiful dresses on, and I just loved them. So I thought when I was drawing Daisy, I actually tried to draw some kind of dress that looked very much similar to that, but I didn't want to tell everyone you have to draw this petal dress from this show that I used to be in ages ago. So I thought, well, let's just run with this petal kind of scalloped motif, and let's just see how it evolves. And so that is where I pulled the inspiration from for Daisy's scalloped pattern and the scallop motif that eventually we all end up drawing, right? So inspiration can be pretty much pulled from anywhere, and I wouldn't be closed off to it. Even if it seems a little dark or maybe a little too personal, there's always a way to bring it about that wouldn't be super revealing, and you can put in there what you know is something super personal to you that, not everyone has to understand or has to get or has to know, but it's all about creative expression, right? So I'm going to be expressing the things that really do speak to me, and it's not necessarily searching through, like art tutorial on YouTube. It might be that I just see someone having a really great time playing with Copic markers, and I think, oh, I'm going to grab out my Copic markers and play with them too. So yeah, inspiration is a funny one, but I'll pull it from absolutely anywhere and everywhere. Someone also asked, where do you find inspiration for patterns and lines? Honestly, sometimes I just look around the room, and if I see a pattern on something that I have never noticed before, if you've ever looked inside of security seal envelopes, they've got beautiful patterns in there as well. I find it interesting to pull inspiration from a bit more of an organic source. Like, even if I'm pulling it from Instagram, it's not because I went looking for it, it's just because I'm scrolling through feeds and suddenly something pops up. So I don't know, it's hard because I think if you're going to go on a search for inspiration, I don't know where you would end up, but I know I might end up somewhere completely random. But yeah, not any particular place, mostly just a collection of anything and everything that just makes me feel a certain way that day. Maybe it makes me feel nostalgic, maybe it makes me feel happy, or maybe it makes me feel kind of cheery, and maybe it even makes me feel something a little emotional that I want to express in some kind of creative fashion. So I don't know, inspiration's a really funny one, but you can get it anywhere and everywhere. Will you consider making a standalone website for people who don't have Facebook and easily to reference info like favorite supplies, etc.? I always list the supplies most of the time in the description box. They're my favorites, or the ones I use in a video in the description box below. As for a standalone website, no immediate plans for that, just because it takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And also, I find it much easier just to pay the fees on Etsy and also have access to Etsy's foot traffic for my sales component of my business. So I don't really want to leave that platform to bring my e-commerce to my own website. So I'm not going to say no, never never say no, never say never, but I, yeah, no immediate plans for that, just for logistic reasons. That's all I've got for you today. I'll be back again tomorrow for a Whimsy Ween video and another Inktober video. Have a great day. Bye.